Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to your 4 to 5. Eric Chilton here with Lauren Coleman, Ben Briscoe, and Monique Robinson.
Did you know there's so many ways to watch us? You can watch us on air, online, Roku, Fire Stick, and the WFNY News 2 app, so you can watch us when you're out on the go.
And what do you get when you watch us? You're going to get the weather in just a minute, but also the day's top stories, like the news about Pfizer with the vaccine in kids.
Yeah, Pfizer submitted its latest trial data about its vaccine in kids ages 5 to 11. The company says it tested a small dose on more than 2,200 kids and found the 2-dose shot, was safe and effective. In an interview last week on CBS This Morning, Dr. John LaPook explains what the FDA will do now that it has Pfizer's latest data.
They're going to not believe what Pfizer said. They're going to go through their records and they're going to do their own statistics. It may take about another month. So I'm hearing maybe around Halloween.
Next, Pfizer will need to formally request emergency authorization for the shot in this younger age group. We'll continue to follow the regulation process and let you know when we hear the FDA could make a decision.
Well, more options are now available for those looking to get a booster shot in the Triad. So today, Novant Health started offering the boosters at its mass vaccine site at Haynes Mall. This is for anyone 65 and older or at high risk for getting COVID-19. You do need an appointment, however, before showing up for that third shot. And today, Cone Health also started offering booster shots to certain groups as well. The Pfizer booster is available to adults 65 and older, adults of high risk of COVID exposure or complications, and adults who are immunocompromised. You need to get an appointment to get it, and you must have had your second dose of Pfizer at least 6 months previously. All right, we want to make it clear that Guilford County Public Health, they're offering third dose shots for only those who are immunocompromised, and these shots are happening at community and mobile clinics. Guilford Public Health is not administering those booster shots at this time.
But what exactly is the difference between a third dose and a booster shot? Well, health officials say a COVID-19 booster shot does exactly what it says. It helps boost your immunity to COVID-19. Boosters are given at least 6 months after a patient has gotten their second dose of the Pfizer vaccine. That's all that's been approved so far. Right now, those who are eligible for booster shots include people ages 65 and older, long-term care residents, adults with underlying conditions, ages 18 to 64, and those 18 and older at high risk for exposure. As for that third dose of a vaccine, that's for people to reach a stronger level of immunity not reached after 2 doses like everyone else. A third dose can be given 28 days after the second vaccine dose and is for those who are immune compromised.
Let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup. Greensboro police are investigating a shooting that left a person critically injured outside a gas station this morning. Police say it happened just before 1 a.m. at the Great Stops location on Summit Avenue. Officers say they found one person who was shot. First responders took that person to the hospital in critical condition. No suspect information is available at this time. The family of Gabby Petito is speaking publicly for the first time since the 22-year-old's body was found. They thank their community and the online support they have felt since Petito went missing. Her family says they plan to start a foundation in Gabby's honor in the next few weeks aimed at helping families in their situation. In the meantime, officials continue to search for Brian Laundrie, Petito's fiance, who was a person of interest in her death. He is still missing.
The Laundries did not help us find Gabby. They sure is not going to help us find Brian. For Brian, we're asking you to turn yourself in to the FBI or the nearest law enforcement agency.
The British Army is now on standby to help with the gas shortage in the UK. Officials say it's not a supply issue, but panic buying is causing pumps to run empty. Currently, there are not enough truck drivers to deliver supplies to every station. Part of the issue is connected to Brexit, which made it harder for foreign workers to get jobs in the UK. The Greensboro Grasshoppers will play for the championship tonight in a winner-takes-all game. The Bowling Green Hot Rods were able to grab a win in Game 4 last night and set up this final matchup. The winner will be named the champion of the High A East League. Tonight's game gets underway at 7:30. Well, that's pretty exciting for the Grasshoppers, as we
is.
know they didn't have their season last year. So what a way to bring it on home this year.
Well, and I was talking with Donald Moore, the president, the other day about this, and I said, why is this I mean, of course you want to win a championship,
Yeah.
but what does it really mean for the players? And he said for a lot of the players that, may be called up, this is just yet another chance for them to show out. And for the franchise as a whole, I mean, let's face it, when they were here for those games, that's the playoffs are really a moneymaker for that.
Absolutely.
And bragging rights. We will take
Absolutely.
those any day. I love the community that comes around these Grasshopper games. And if we have champions in our town, that's even better.
Yeah, so we're going to be rooting for them tonight as they hit the field.
There's one guy, I know you guys know this, the guy, he calls our newsroom all the time for Hopper scores.
Okay.
Hey, Daniel.
He wants updates on score. And I talked to the Hoppers about this, and they said, oh, he calls us too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he makes his rounds and calls. So there are some loyal,
super fan.
devout fans out there. Yeah.
You know, when you were reading that story, I thought you said they were playing the hot dogs.
The hot dogs.
the hot rods, but maybe we should go make some signs
Yeah.
and tease the hot dogs.
You can get a hot dog at the game.
I think there is a hot dog. We'll have to check that, a minor franchise. I'll look that up. All right, well, first let's see what's happening with our forecast, and we'll check in with Monique for that.
Happy Tuesday. Weather conditions for this evening expected to be quite cool across the Triad and comfortable. Great for a baseball game or even just a leisure walk around your neighborhood. Overall weather conditions for your Tuesday from start to finish are fairly nice. This is a look at a time lapse at UNC Greensboro. We had some clear skies and we had some cumulus clouds and some stratus clouds sort of push in through the 4 p.m. hour and even just kind of throughout the afternoon. I've been keeping a close eye on the sky. Current conditions across the area in a mix of 80s. One of the warmer days that we've seen in the last couple of days. 81 right now in Greensboro. This is a location picking up on the clouds. Elsewhere, more sunshine. 83 as we look towards Winston-Salem, and 82 in Burlington. So 80s across the board, and this is sort of a change as we talked comparing yesterday. 24 hours ago we were about 2 degrees cooler in Greensboro and 3-degree difference there in Winston-Salem. It looks like one of the bigger changes, but even tomorrow forecasting a little bit of warmer temperatures, again 80s, but a little bit warmer. Now, as we go to end the week, we're going to see a significant change in the temperature trend. We have much cooler numbers, 70s for you, 75 is the forecast high on Friday. That's the warmest it's going to get on Friday is 75. That's a big change as compared to right now. And even for tomorrow, forecast high of 82 for your Wednesday. So we're trending cooler, still feeling like fall, but really feeling like that fall crisp air as we head into the weekend. Counting down to the holidays, I just thought it would be fun to share 33 more days until Halloween. And as you can see, 58 until Thanksgiving. Hopefully the weather conditions will feel just right for both of those holidays, but I'll have more details on weather conditions here at home coming up.
More than 100 former Novant health workers are now without a job after the company announced it would require the COVID-19 vaccine.
Today, company leaders discussed the move, saying, staffing has really been an issue throughout the pandemic, but patient care will still remain a top priority. The vaccine mandate went into effect September 15th. Employees who did not comply were then put on a 5-day suspension. After the suspension, more than 100 workers statewide were fired. Dr. David Priest says the risk of the virus spreading through unvaccinated workers could have actually caused more staffing issues.
I think people think, well, a small number of individuals have left the organization, so it must create staffing issues. What creates worse staffing issues is when team members get COVID and they're out for longer periods of time. So it's really a balance.
This summer, Novant Health, along with Cone Health and Atrium Health Wake Forest Baptist, all announced they would require vaccines.
Vaccine mandates are now rolling out nationwide, including in several large medical systems like in North Carolina and those in New York. CBS News reports.
Nationwide, states that are forcing hospital and other workers to receive their first dose are getting pushback. In Massachusetts, dozens of state troopers have resigned as a result of the state's mandate.
I think it's really important for public officials who deal directly with the public on a regular basis, who have no idea whether the people they're dealing with are vaccinated or not, and those people who are dealing with them ought to be able to believe that they are vaccinated.
Here in the state of New York, hospitals have begun firing or suspending workers who refuse to get vaccinated. The governor says she's preparing to declare a state of emergency and potentially bring in the National Guard or out-of-state healthcare workers to help with the staffing shortage.
Well, you're really ready to give that up. You're really ready to give up your paycheck. A lot of people at that point say, okay, wait, I'll go get vaccinated.
New York is now one of at least 6 states, plus the District of Columbia, that have vaccine mandates in place for healthcare workers. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
And it doesn't stop at healthcare workers. In New York City, staff at city public schools must be vaccinated with at least one shot by this Friday at 5 p.m. The city estimates that at this point, at least 90% of teachers have gotten at least one dose. We'll be right back.
I once met a man that seemed he was always on the go. Now, I rarely ever saw him slow down long enough to regroup and get his mind together before his next endeavor. He constantly jumped from one project to the next. Intrigued at his momentum, I asked him, "What are your secrets?" His response taught me a lesson. He said, "I have trained my mind to capture every thought that would derail me from success. My heart and my mind have an agreement that they immediately dismiss any distractions that don't line up with the vision and purpose of my life. I have taken complete ownership over my mind. My mind doesn't own me." The lesson I learned: a wandering mind leads to a wandering life. Know what you want to accomplish and train your heart and mind to keep you in the steady flow to get there. This is Coach Lamont reminding you to have your best you day. I'll see you tomorrow.
That was a great message. Your mind, you have power over your mind and what you think. Now, here at home, when talking about the weather conditions have been quiet. But when you zoom out to a wider view, you can see where there is activity elsewhere. When you step out and look to the deep south, you can see just south of Louisiana, even portions of southeastern Texas, look as though there's some very active weather there, as well as even when we look towards the northeast. You can see there's even some, earlier today, I saw some flash flood warnings with some of that severe weather. Zooming in a little bit closer here at home, way dry. We're not seeing any rainfall, not really even expecting any rainfall over the next couple of days. Now, a cold front is expected to move through, but it's moving in dry, keeping us quiet. We are seeing a few cloud cover. This is a visible satellite, so this is where we're able to see the cloud cover. So again, satellites, they move around the Earth, and so we're looking from the top down. So if you were in the upper levels of the atmosphere or outer space looking down, you would be able to see the clouds, and that's what we're seeing here. A little bit of cloud cover across the area, not widespread activity, and some locations have completely just seen sunshine throughout the entirety of the day, allowing for those highs to really climb to some 80s, right around 82. It looks as though Greensboro, that was the highest that we had on today, and then 82 in a lot of other locations. 86, 85 when we look well down to our south, but those are the warmer spots. Here at home, not as warm. High pressure is the main story. Cold front moving in, sagging south, a backdoor cold front coming in from the north and east, ushering in a cooler air mass, and that's what's going to be the case as we go in through the weekend. I'll give you that full 7-day and a look at the tropics coming up.
So in the Jamestown area, this event we're going to talk about is an institution. It is the 60th annual Jamestown Horse Show. I spoke with organizer Michael Greth about the event's history and what it's grown into today. Michael, thanks for being with us today. Wow, this event, now I did not realize how long this has been around. Talk a little bit about the history of this thing.
The Jamestown Horse Show started in 1962. We're in our 60th year with the event. It started off locally behind the library and the school in downtown Jamestown. It highlights the area's horse breeders and horse riders. They come out and they ride for points and awards and recognition.
So Michael, we know it's been around a long time, but there's a charity aspect to this as well, correct?
Absolutely. All of our proceeds go to local charities. For example, the Mary Ragsdale YMCA, the Senior Resource Center of Guilford, the Jamestown Library, and Family Services of the Piedmont are just 4. We currently support 14 charities within our area.
So describe what this will be like if people attend this. What kind of atmosphere is it? What type of elements are there?
It's an outdoor event. It does have an indoor arena. There will be classes where the horses will be in competition as far as jumping. A lot of it is just style and form. The riders will come out, predominantly a much younger demographic, but the riders will come out and they will run their horses through paces. There will be a judge in the middle of the arena, and she will be viewing all of the horses and all of the riders for their skills, their appearance, and their abilities.
So I have to ask you the question, food. Will there be food?
They do have a caterer that's coming out to the event. That should be the only cost to people coming in.
Well, Michael, For it to stick around 60 years, this must be a pretty cool event, and good luck with this one this year as well.
Nice.
They had their 60th year, yeah. So, you know, he was saying, and if you go to their website, I was reading kind of a backstory of all this. They said when it first started, which would have been, I guess, the early 60s, he said that it was truly a family gathering where, you know, Jamestown is a small town now, but it was even smaller then. He said literally people would just walk from their backyards out and go to the event and hang out. And it became truly a family event. But now it's actually sanctioned. So these horses and the riders that you're going to see are professional.
And the horses are absolutely beautiful
Yes.
from those photos that you have there. And it's this weekend, correct?
Yes.
So the weather's going to be great. So if you're looking for something to do with your family, this is something that you might want to look into.
You guys, I went to a horse show in South Carolina over Labor Day. It was a lot of fun. Loved watching the horses, but outside the arena, they had one of the jumps set up for kids to try to run over.
Nice.
Those poor babies, they were just falling face first, one after another.
Were they on horses?
No,
or
they would just
they
run,
would
and
run and jump.
Yeah.
Okay.
Leave it to the horses. People.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or at least put some padding down. 'Cause
Yes.
no kids are going to bite it. Yeah, that's right.
I was like,
No
did we
crying
get
out
their
here.
parents over here?
Let the parents do it for a change. So I know back in the day when Tanglewood used to have the steeplechase, we would gather, and that was true horse racing, and people could bet on it. So much fun, and you're right, just the majesty of those animals.
Beautiful.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Like royalty.
Very cool. We're going to take a short break. Be right back. All right, it's time for some animal news. Not animals reading the news like that guy, checking out the newspaper, but animals becoming the news.
So up first, we head to Alaska. Residents are used to seeing animals like bears wander into town, but now they are on the alert for aggressive otters.
He's reading the business section too.
Oh, is he really? Oh,
Yeah.
he is. Business dog.
Business dog, that's very cute.
Love it. I'm sorry, back to the otters.
The
So
aggressive
distracted.
otters, because this is a really odd story. So officials say in the past month, 2 people have been attacked by river otters. Both people were bitten, got rabies shots, but were otherwise okay.
Okay, otters do not normally attack, but the Department of Fish and Game is now asking people to be careful around rivers and lakes. Otters travel in groups too, making this even scarier, guys. But It is not clear if the same group was responsible for both attacks.
There's always a bad scene.
Yeah. I've always thought of otters should be like cute and cuddly, but those pictures, they're just like frowning, like you could see them just, you know, approaching like a pack of hyenas or something.
When you were reading, I was looking at Lawrence like, look, that otter was like, just staring.
I just never thought of an otter. You remember the show PB&J Otter?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so they're supposed to be friendly and fun.
What do they do again?
Not now. Yeah, that was the otter move. I like that. All right, next up, turtles, not known for their speed, that's for sure, but one brought air travel to a halt when it tried to make its way across the runway here. This turtle was spotted by a pilot with some pretty incredible eyesight, by the way, if he saw this thing. He called it in and then had the air traffic stop everything.
Air traffic control, there's a turtle on the runway.
We got a turtle on the runway, eh?
5 flights ended up being delayed until it could be safely removed, which was about 15 minutes later, y'all. 15 minutes. They're still unsure exactly how the turtle ended up on the runway, but they did say there is a reservoir nearby.
I wonder why they were weighing him. Did you see that?
Yeah. Maybe that accounts for how long it took to remove him. I don't know. What we've heard of like snakes on a plane, now we could say we've heard of turtles on the runway.
That's right. Oh, and it would take it so long to get across the whole runway. Can you imagine if they just waited instead of going and picking
And
him
it
up?
affected 5 planes. So
Really?
if your friends are like, you know, why was your flight delayed? Was it bad weather?
imagine
You can
the
say it was because of a
misconnections and all that
turtle.
mess?
Because of a
Turtle
turtle. That's insane.
We had a turtle delay today. All right, here's a tip. Ben, you probably know this. If a turtle's walking across the road and you want to help it,
Yeah.
so you run out and get it, do you take it back where it was or do you take it over the other way where it was going? Do you know the answer to that?
Take it to where it was going?
Yes,
Okay.
because they will literally go, if you take it back to where it started, they'll go back across again.
I did not know that, but growing up, we would go to Florida to my granddad's house, and the sea turtles would hatch and the babies, and we'd help them get to the
yeah.
ocean.
Aw.
And I know you're not supposed to pick them up, but you can like stand guard.
Yeah, that's true.
Very cool.
Holden Beach does that every year. Check that out on the North Carolina coast. We're coming back. Stay there.
What's up, buddy? How are you? Good, how you? Good. Hanging in there. Wow. Ben out here rescuing turtles. Never would I thought I'd see the day. Ben Briscoe, turtle guide.
Those baby turtles?
Turtle bodyguard.
Dude, when I was in Hawaii, I went scuba diving.
That sounds like a great time.
Hey, good afternoon. It is 4:30, halfway through the 4 to 5 right now.
And we're having a lot of fun on the show today, and there's no way to miss us. You can watch us on air, online, Fire Stick, and the WFNY News 2 app.
Yeah, so today the Winston-Salem-Forsyth County Board of Education, they will vote on taking further measures to help protect students from COVID-19. They've already made testing mandatory for all student athletes, but now they're trying to make testing easier for all the students involved here. WFMY News 2's Jalen Gilkey spoke with the district about what this would look like. Jalen?
Well, the Winston-Salem-Forsyth County School District has already mandated everyone who participates in high-risk after-school activities to get tested for COVID-19 on the regular to participate. Today's discussion comes as it was announced that Mount Tabor's football program was temporarily shut down due to COVID protocols, and their game Friday has been delayed. The district's Board of Education will meet in the next few minutes to vote on two things. First, they will decide if they will continue the required testing for athletics and extracurricular activities like band.
What we've seen, however, is that our cases aren't as high as perhaps we thought they would be. I mean, we're looking at numbers tonight through last week or through the 17th of September, and since the beginning of school, we've only had about 18 confirmed cases that were related to athletics. But what we have seen is a large number of students and staff members who tell us when they start to experience symptoms, they're having trouble getting a COVID-19 test in the communities.
The district tells us they don't know how this would look as of yet, but they do want to provide a fix to cut down on the time students and staff will miss school due to testing issues.
We want students in school, and we know that if we can get them access to testing and find out what exactly is going on sooner, then they are in many chances or in many cases able to come back to school sooner.
The Board of Education meeting should start at 5 o'clock. We'll get you an update on what they decide on air and online.
Help is coming to those who depend on the SNAP program to grocery shop each month. Starting Friday, October 1st, food and nutrition services will increase monthly benefits by $36. It comes after reevaluating the benefits program and current costs of a nutritional diet. Right now, around 1.6 million people depend on help to buy food in our state. Starting next week, the city of Greensboro will start turning off water for unpaid bills. The city says it won't happen all at once, but in a phased approach. First, those with high unpaid bills or without payment plans will see the water shut off. The city is still offering payment plans that can be spread out over 6 months. You just need to get in touch with the Water Resource Office.
Let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup. Today, High Point police officers handed out flyers providing resources and information. This after a woman was killed last week. Police say the suspect and the victim were in a relationship before the killing. It was the 5th domestic violence-related murder in High Point this year. Now, part of today's response was about letting community members know there is help out there if you're looking to get out of a bad relationship. California will now mail every voter a ballot in future elections after Governor Newsom signed the universal vote-by-mail law. During the pandemic, every voter received a mail-in ballot, but now it's permanent. Ballots have to be mailed out at least 29 days before the election. Voters can mail them back, drop them off, or still vote in person if they choose to. Several other states have mail-out ballots to every registered voter too, including Utah, Colorado, Washington, and Oregon. The Greensboro Science Center is temporarily closed this week while crews make some routine maintenance repairs. The closure runs through Thursday, September 30th, so it will remain open and reopen for the weekend. The Science Center's website explains in addition to repairs, the team's working on projects that are pretty special, designed to enhance guest experiences.
Well, you know, a cemetery should be a place of reflection and peace, but there are some cemeteries that are all but forgotten. They have fallen into disrepair and they need restoring. If not for the departed, then for their families at least. Preservation Forsyth is raising awareness about this with a documentary they're showing called Unmarked. More about that in just a moment, but first I caught up with Deltra Bonner, who has relatives in one of those cemeteries. Listen to this.
I have an aunt, my mother's sister. There were 3 girls, and my Aunt Helen was the middle girl. She contracted tuberculosis and died at age 13, and she was buried there. As long as I can remember from being a child, our family always went to the cemetery at Easter and then at Christmas to place flowers on her grave. 1975, I think, was the last year we were able to actually get to her grave, and it was always a chore because we had to cut our way through to the grave. Being a privately owned cemetery, each family was responsible pretty much for the upkeep of their loved one's plot. That year, we weren't able to get to her. We couldn't figure out how to get to her. And my grandmother, I remember her saying, baby, I guess it's the last time I'm going to see you. And as a little one, that kind of broke my heart because I knew how much that meant to the family.
So the documentary is about similar black cemeteries in Virginia, but now Preservation Forsyth hopes this will raise awareness about the need right here in the Triad. So this documentary again focused on the same type of situation in Virginia, but it really deserves our attention because she said, I could lead you to a multitude of families, all with the same situation. Imagine not being able to get to the grave of your loved one, and they've let them go in disrepair so much that it's hard to even tell where the markers are anymore.
Yeah, it's devastating. And we're seeing this in a lot of places all over the country, really. Other markets that I've worked in, there was a sister pairing that I interviewed where they bought this nice decoration for their mother's plot for Mother's Day. We walked around for like an hour. We could not find her plot. We spent the day trying to figure out who was in charge of like mowing the grass. The weeds were as tall as me. And we found out it was like voluntary. And a lot of these families, they don't live in the area where their loved ones are buried. So it's really sad.
It is the type of thing too. My first question, I think Ben probably had this question and could probably get it answered better than I could. Was that who can be responsible for this? How can we help out? Can the city do anything? And she said, Deltra said they've worked with the city over and over. And the city does help as much as they can, but if it's a private cemetery, there's not a whole lot they can do. And these cemeteries have been moved due to Highway 52 being built back in the old days. Even, she said, the 40 bypass, they had to move a cemetery then too. So sometimes the loved ones don't even know where to go anymore. So we'll look further into this over the next few months, hopefully.
Well, you know what? It's going to be a really nice weekend. Maybe some folks can get out there and clean up.
Yeah.
Temperatures across the area are surely enough going to feel good this weekend. This is just an outlook of the temperatures over the last several days throughout the month of September. We are approaching a new month of October, but it's been fairly an even split between days above average temperature and below average. We've only had 3 right around, but we've been having very consistent weather in terms of balancing things out of warmer temperatures, cooler days. I remember we started the month extremely cool, just 1 week of really nasty weather, allowing for temperatures to stay cool. Right now, weather is nice outside, but we are on the cooler side of things. 81 in Greensboro, 83 when we look north towards Reedsville. Across the board, a mix of 80s for you. Now, when we talk about dew points, this describes the moisture in the air. We're seeing dew points in the 60s. Now, that doesn't generally describe the fall crisp air where we have dew points in the 40s or 50s. This is a little bit more moisture. This is all ahead of a cold front that's going to be moving through. Behind this, though, we'll definitely feel that change in dew points. Tonight, I'm expecting for numbers to drop down to some upper 50s, low 60s, and we look towards the foothills, just about the same upper 50s. Here's a look at that full 7 days, showing you what you can expect over the next 7 days. Tomorrow, the warmest day of the next 7 days, but after that, I mean, we're going to cool down significantly. Next week features the best chance of rain.
That sound means it's time to verify. Have you looked up at the sky lately? I mean, have you really taken a good look? If so, you have noticed the exceptional blue hue enveloping the atmosphere. Ocean blue, cerulean blue, however you describe it, the sky is so blue lately. It prompted viewer Kathy from Greensboro to ask, is it true the sky is bluer in the fall than in the summer? Let's verify. Our sources for this are meteorologist Christian Morgan and the National Weather Service, who say yes.
Well, first of all, we have to start with why the sky is blue. And of course, that's all because of scattering of sunlight off the molecules of the atmosphere. The scattering, called Rayleigh scattering, is actually more effective at short wavelengths. So blue scatters the easiest. That's why the sky is blue. So now in the summer, when the sun's rays are more directly on the Earth, you don't really get that deep blue because the sun is in closer proximity to us here at Earth. Also, there's a lot of humidity in the atmosphere in the summer too, and all of that water vapor continues to help scatter some of that sunlight. Now in the fall, when it's not as humid and when the sun is not so close to the Earth, there's actually more scattering of sunlight and more scattering of those molecules, which means the sky is actually a little bit deeper blue.
So in conclusion, we verified, yes, it's true. The sky is bluer in the fall because of low humidity, less cloud cover sometimes, and more blue light scattering, giving it that amazing blue complexion. So whether you want to call it Carolina blue or Duke blue, just enjoy it while it lasts before winter precipitation turns this beautiful hue into a dreary haze of gray. With your Verify, I'm Megan Malaris.
I think Monique knew the answer to this already.
Yeah, I was seeing her being like nodding her
Yes,
head like
yep.
yes. It kind of went over my head a little bit, but I've been loving the skies.
Yeah, so what you have wavelengths of light, they're all different lengths. So you have blue, which is shorter, you have red, which is longer. When the sun has to travel a very long space, you're gonna see red because it's a longer wavelength. When you have sunlight traveling a shorter distance, you're gonna see blue because it's a shorter wavelength. So when you're having, in the fall season, it's a very short distance the sunlight has to travel because you have a shorter wavelength, so you get blue skies. At nighttime, when you have the sun setting, it has a longer distance to travel. So that's why you see more reds in the sky at nighttime, because the sun is traveling a much longer distance to reach your eyes. So that's why the skies sort of change colors during times as well. But the humidity is certainly a factor in the sky during the summer months, because again, you have that moisture. Now we're having even shorter distance because we have moisture sitting in the air in between the sun and the sky. So we have moisture droplets in the air, and now we have even shorter distance. So now we're seeing more blue, more blue, more blue. So that's kind of, maybe that helps a little bit to understand.
Well, so Monique will appreciate this. When I covered a total eclipse and we went down to Columbia, South Carolina, so we were in the direct path of totality. I mean, everything. It was the strangest thing, Monique, because we had orange sunset on the horizon in 360 degrees around us. It was the most unique thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, so it's all sciencey, you know, fun stuff.
Yeah, I love that.
Eric, I was down there covering the eclipse too in South Carolina.
Oh,
and
yes, that's right.
This is not the most proud moment of mine, but it's really emotional. I actually teared up because of the eclipse. I've never seen anything like that before. It was so cool.
Well, those people you interviewed were crying. I remember when you interviewed those people in that park.
Everyone was. It was just like some magical power that takes over you.
It was very cool, very cool. We digress. But we're going to take a break and pay some bills, and we'll be right back.
Hello there. Hello, hello. 4 o'clock show. Let's go. That rhymed. Wow.
I'm a poet, didn't you know it?
Hey.
We are only about a month away from Duke basketball's first game of the season. It will be the start to a bittersweet season, the final for Coach K before his retirement. WFNY News 2's Luke Liddon joins us now after hearing from Coach at Duke's Media Day today.
Yeah, Lauren, it's still a little surreal. This is Coach K's final Media Days presser as the head coach of Duke men's basketball. But the thing about it, Coach doesn't want that to be the focus, although I think that'll be pretty difficult for everyone to do. Everything this season will be Coach K's last, but he says there's still a job at hand first and foremost. Now, it's easy to get caught up about what the end of the season will look like for Coach K, but Mike Krzyzewski asks everyone to please avoid one word in particular.
Yeah, I told my staff and everyone around me not to use the word last. This is my 47th year, my 42nd year at Duke. I'm going after it the way I've gone after every year. So we're not having any of it. I'll savor in May or whatever, and after that. But right now, I want to live, not savor.
Live, not savor. I like that. Still weird we won't see this coaching legend on the court next season. So Duke fans, and maybe even for Chilton himself, soak it up while you still can. The Blue Devils will open the season against Kentucky on Tuesday, November 9th.
Boy, that's a game to open your season on, isn't it? Kentucky? Wow.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the pressure on those players knowing it is his final, ending, what word are we going to use because we can't use last?
I know.
I know, right? It's a little more difficult. The players told me months ago, they said, no, we're just going to treat it like any other season. We want to play hard no matter what, but you got to think there's a little more of anxiety for those players because it's Coach K's final season.
Well, everybody's talking about it.
He may say that, he didn't want the focus on that, but I think he did this the right way because he announced it, at the beginning of the season, really before they'd even started everything. So it makes this season big, whether he likes it or not. Announcing that, I think every single game, that will be that focus on them this year. So they'll get, not that they need any more spotlight, Duke gets a ton, but they will get even more, this year, I think.
It's just too bad Coach Williams didn't do the same thing because then we could have one more hurrah with Coach K versus Coach Williams.
I always said, I make no bones about it that I'm a Carolina fan, and I said I wish Roy had done this because what if they had done it the same year? That's
wow, that would have been huge.
Yeah. None of our hearts could have handled that, Eric.
That's true. That is true. So what do you think, Luke? What's the prediction for the season with them?
I think they're going to go to the Elite Eight. I'm just going to say it now. And that's it. No championship, no deeper than that. But I think they'll do well. But you know how the tournament is. It's nearly impossible.
That's true. 6 games in a row is tough. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. So in case you didn't know, and I didn't know until today, it is National North Carolina Day, a day when the country celebrates what all North Carolinians already know, that we're a good place here. So I asked you on Facebook, tell me our state's best qualities and or features, and you did not disappoint. MD Moore, a frequent commenter here, says depending on where you live, you have the mountains and the coast within a few hours of each other. And by the way, that was the #1 comment of everybody that commented today, was beach and mountains, yes.
The best reason to live in the Triad.
The best, that's right. We're like 3 to 4 hours from either way. Bobby Odom says there are lots of them, but the one thing that sticks out to me, Southern hospitality and how friendly people are here. Cynthia says the mountains, the Outer Banks, Bob Timberlake, all the fairs and festivals, parks and lakes, and the best barbecue, along with Andy and Mayberry, just to name a few. Wanda says RC Cola and double-decker moon pies, mountains and great people. Dennis says the state's diverse history, the Lost Colony, Tryon Palace, Old Salem, the Biltmore House, and Cherokee. Lots of reasons. I will say that I would say 70% of the people that commented said beach and mountains within a drive.
That's what I commented on there too. I mean, you can have the best of both worlds. Want a quick weekend getaway, you can do the mountains or the beach.
Are you a beach or a mountain person?
I'm a mountain person, but you can't go wrong either way. I mean, North Carolina is beautiful on both sides.
You know, it's funny, I've always said, and this is a complaint that I have forever, why don't we have a train that goes from Asheville to Wilmington? That's what we need. I know you can get certain places by train, but I want a beach train.
I like that idea. That would be great.
I'd love not to drive.
I would definitely make use of that.
Amtrak, are you listening? They're paying attention. A lot of people said barbecue, by the way. And then also, this kind of surprised me too, but they said hush puppies, because I thought that's a Southern thing altogether, but I guess it could
I didn't know that was specific to North Carolina.
I don't think it is.
What I don't think people mentioned is that North Carolina has the Southern nice people, but not the fake Southern nice people that other states have.
Yeah,
I feel like we're really nice here,
it's
actually,
true.
genuinely.
When you might make some people mad at home.
They say you turn your back. Don't turn your back to leave.
Listen, I grew up in Texas, and I'll tell you, those people are nice, but they're a little fake.
We'll go to Monique.
No comment.
We'll get her a comment on that.
Well, I don't know about Texans, Ben, but I do agree that folks here in North Carolina are some of the nicest people I've ever met. And even talking about that train that you were talking about earlier, also, Eric, I think it'll be even nice for folks in Wilmington to get a train out of Wilmington, especially during hurricane season when things move very quickly. It'd be really nice for people to get out on a train and away from the coast. And speaking of the tropics, we do have some activity there. We have now 2 systems have been tagged as both Invest 90 and Invest 91. We've been keeping a close eye on Sam for the last several days. Sam expected to stay well away from us. And then there is a small disturbance with a 40% chance of development over the next 5 days, but I'm not really too concerned about that. Zooming in a little bit closer to Sam, you see this system not showing that well-defined eye, but overall, Sam still not looking the best on satellite. Now, this is a look at Invest 90. This track of the system kind of taking a more of a northward curve, not going to be too much of a concern for us, but again, we're going to have to see how the models verify with that. Now, when we look at Invest 91, the one just a couple hundred miles away from Invest 90, the models are quite uncertain as to what this thing will do, and you can see some of them hinting at pulling a little bit further westward, which means we need to keep a close eye on how this thing moves over the next several days. We're getting to the end of this list, but soon enough, we'll be switching over to that alternative list, holding tight that we don't have to. More details on weather coming up at your News at 5.
Found dead in, a 22-year-old found dead in Wyoming last week. Her family spoke for the first time.
Leave you alone. Hey, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We have mosquitoes in the.
Oh, I love that. Hi. Hi, I'm walking. I have my mask on, so I sound muffled, but I am on the way.
10-9-876-54321, and also to make sure. Okay, perfect. This 35,000 right here, and then 175. Gotcha. Okay.
The average monthly increase will be about $36. Well, the average monthly increase will be about $36. That's going to depend.
It's time for My 2 Cents. How often do you talk to your neighbors, or do you talk to them at all? We may wave to our neighbors when we see them walking their dogs around the block, or maybe even when they're taking out the trash. But do you actually know who they are? Today is National Good Neighbor Day, held on September 28th of every year. The day creates an opportunity for neighbors to get to know each other and examine what it means to be a good neighbor. There are many ways to celebrate the day. It can be as simple as offering a kind word, like complimenting their lawn, or it can be as large as hosting an event. I remember the fun block parties and cookouts held in my neighborhood when living on the Army base in Butzbach, Germany. These parties were a great way to get to know other kids in the neighborhood, some who've even become my lifelong friends. You can celebrate the day by creating a service project for others in your community. No matter how you choose to celebrate, it's important to get to know those who live around us. It helps to provide a safer environment, and you never know when you'll need to borrow a cup of sugar. So the next time you see your neighbor outside checking the mail, try to strike up a conversation. That one simple exchange can lead to a vital friendship for years to come. That's My 2 Cents. That's your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts now.